Welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make more sales, dominate their markets, and how you can get those same results. Here is your host, Dave Woodward.
Hey everybody, welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio. I'm your host, Dave Woodward. Today we've got a really cool opportunity to talk to a legend in the SEO game. And SEO isn't something we've spent that much time on, but I had the opportunity of meeting Chris Reed, and I wanted to introduce Chris to you. He runs a company, Arter Media Factory, which is basically the SEO company of SEO companies. A quick way of basically saying it or thinking about it is all the SEO companies, they go to him to basically actually do their work. So Chris, welcome aboard.
Hey Dave, thanks very much for having me.
I'm super excited. This is going to be really fun. So Chris and I were just kind of talking briefly about, when you have a sales funnel, and take for example, you built your funnel, you built it on ClickFunnels, and obviously the site and everything else, your pages are hosted on ClickFunnels, but you have your own domain. And that's really what I want to talk about today is the importance of building backlinks and all that kind of stuff. And that's really Chris's specialty. So Chris, I'm going to just kind of dive in, help people understand the importance of backlinks, how it helps them, and why it might be something they'd want to consider for their funnel.
Yeah, sure, Dave. Well, backlinks are the driving force of Google and how Google works. Back before Google, they weren't the first search engine. Others were a lot based on text. So the more text you had, like if you got, buy iPhone now all over your website, well, you're going to rank really well for buy iPhones. But that turned out to be a really crappy way to run a search engine. And so Larry Page, he came up with the idea that, because he was at university at the time, he figured, when people do their thesis, if everyone references their thesis in the other theses, then that must be the most dominant and most authoritative in that niche. And figure, it must be the same for a website, right? If everyone else is linking to that website, it must be the most important website. And so that turned out to work out really well. And he built the PageRank algorithm. And it was pretty simple to start with. It was really just a link's a link's a link. And then it got a lot more complicated as more powerful sites like the BBC or CNN. They're going to have a lot more sway than a local pizza shop down the road. And and it's still developing today that it gets really complicated as to the value of a link depending on who's searching something. Like I'm in Cambodia right now, and we've got a customer here that's on the Mekong River, the big river that goes through Southeast Asia. And they do Mekong River cruises. And when I look at search results in London or Phnom Penh, they're vastly different. And because the user's intention's very different too. Like, if you're in London searching for a Mekong River cruise, you're probably more interested in, where's the Mekong, what countries does it go through, what's available. Where if you're in Phnom Penh, you're on the Mekong and you're more interested in booking a trip. And so if you do an analysis of what links are helping which site rank in that area, you'll find that, newspapers in London will have a lot more sway for an article that's going to rank in the UK versus, authorities in Phnom Penh are going to have a lot more sway here. So it's pretty complicated how it works, but basically the more authority you can get from a link, the better.
So how does a person actually get those kind of links?
Providing good content is what people always say, but that's still really hard. We try and keep to the rule of 10% of your time should be making content, and 90% of your time should be getting that content out there. Most businesses don't live in a bubble, Like one thing I like to think of the internet is it's just the same as the real world, right? If you're a baker down the road, you work with the guy that gives you a flour, the delivery guys that take your bread to the shop, the supermarkets, your supply chains and whatnot. It's the same on the internet. Whatever your product and service is, you work with all these other companies that, your customers, your suppliers, anyone. And so why not help them out? Like if you're a baker and you use whatever oven and you're like, this is the best oven in the world, it makes awesome bread. Why not write a great article about, how to make awesome bread using this oven? Give it to the oven dealership. They'll love it, and then you got a good authority link that's something relative.
So when you're looking at, like, for a lot of our sales funnels and things, some of these are real quick funnels, and they're basically using the funnel to sell a product, or they're to sign up for a webinar or a high ticket coaching thing, but it could also be a part of their actual website. So what type of SEO is important for them for their website, and what kind of an impact would it have on their actual sales funnel?
So even if you're just driving like paid traffic to a funnel because it's something you've just sprung up instantly, it's still good to have authority on your domain, because a lot of people will check out who you are and what you are. If they've gone to your domain / sales funnel, they might go to your main site or even Google your business name. Especially if you're selling a high ticket item like $1,000 or something, people are going to do a bit of research and go, oh, let's have a review on this guy, or maybe a personal name, and see what that is. So that's not really building links, but that's reputation engineering to make sure that your reputation's glowing on the internet. So you spend all that time and effort getting people into your funnel. You want to make sure that they see your side of the story and fall in love with you.
Chris, I absolutely love that. That to me is one of the main things as we were kind of talking about doing this podcast together. Was I was thinking, for a lot of these guys, we have a lot of our people who use ClickFunnels who do sell high-end tickets pricing, a $10,000 coaching program, or $5,000 or $2,000 even on a webinar. And it's really easy to see a lot of negative publicity, because those are the people who usually write stuff first. The glowing reports you don't always get. So what can they do from an SEO standpoint to try to project the best image possible to anybody who might be trying to find out more about them as an individual, their company, or their products and services?
So there's some really nasty people on the internet. It's a beautiful thing that it gives everyone a voice, but it unfortunately also gives total pricks voices. Like, we've got a customer that just came to us recently who was really brutally attacked in Australia, and she's changing her brand because her brand's been destroyed by competitors. And so we're moving her site to a new brand, and we're cementing her reputation before we start. So, the domain name's getting set up, obviously, but then make sure her Facebook, her Twitter, her YouTube, these are sites that are really easy to rank, because generally your name or your brand name is not so competitive. So as long as you build good content and get it there and get it ranked first, it's easy to stay in the top. Sure, if CNN later you do something terrible and they write an article about how terrible you are, well, it's probably going to outrank you, but hopefully that won't happen.
So what are some of the things that our listeners could be doing themselves before they contact a company like you to hire and actually do the work for them?
That's really simple stuff. Like making a YouTube video is really easy. Open up PowerPoint, throw in your logo there and some little pictures, and just grab your microphone and talk about what you do. You're an expert and should know whatever you do. You make a couple-minute video and put it on your YouTube channel. If you add one every month or two, you'll rank nicely for your business name and your products and whatnot. And it helps protect your reputation. If someone comes in to slag you off later on, your stuff should be more dominant because it's more aged and hopefully have more views and whatnot. So, being active on your Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, these are pages that rank quite easily. Things like Vimeo don't tend to rank real well because, it's a competitor to YouTube, which is owned by Google, obviously. But so they don't really like to send traffic to their arch nemesis. But you can go a long way further. Like some customers, they'll build review sites, brand name review or product name review. Some people that have been hit, I've seen build like complaint sites. So like domain name complaints, because you can rank these things and it pushes down anyone that might be terrible. Like, there's this really horrible site called the Ripoff Report. And,
oh, yes. Well.
And it ranks really well because it's quite an authority. And the stuff that's on there is just drivel, and there's no validation that you're a customer or had anything to do with this business. So, mean people write mean stuff, and it does really hurt people.
So take, for example, as far as Facebook and Facebook Live or any of that type of content where it's published, but then it disappears, at least from the view of most people. Is that still of value?
In the Facebook ecosystem, yeah, not in Google. The only thing that'll rank on Google is the actual like not a particular post, but the actual page. So, Facebook / your product name.
Perfect. Okay. So for guys we have a lot of people who are always the hard part about content is doing it in a way that you can be consistent. I know that I see a lot of people start off and all of a sudden I'm doing Snapchat this week, I'm doing Instagram the next week, I'm doing a blog post, and then I'm doing a YouTube thing. And there's really no consistency to things. Does that matter, or is content content?
Yeah, well, you want to make good content for sure. If no one's reading it, what's the point? Yeah, it's like go scream in a forest. But I mean, like you can do things to make it simpler. Like if you make a nice article that you've spent a couple hours writing, it's not really hard to schedule 30 tweets over the next 30 days related to it. It's like grab a couple of the punchlines, make a few Facebook posts from that. It's pretty easy. And, you can also make a YouTube video. Just what are the main points that you spoke about? Go over it in a YouTube video, or even just read the article out. There you go. You got a nice video.
I love that idea. Just a way of just repurposing the content you made once. And
yeah, for sure. And especially if you're trying to rank for a particular keyword that is a long tail keyword or something. If you make that article and then read the article out onto a YouTube video, put that on your channel, and then embed it into your page, well, that gives it a lot of relevancy because the video is now about the product, and so is the page, so it can really help it rank real well.
That's awesome. It's been interesting for me with our podcast. We started off just doing the podcast, and then we've done some where we've done the video, and we stripped the audio from the video, the YouTube channel, and used that as the podcast. We then have done others where we take different quotes and make those tweetable. We've done others that we've actually made as shareable things. And it's really interesting to see the impact that has. So I love what you're telling our users to use and do here is the importance of basically getting as much content out there as you can. But the key to that content, at least from what I'm hearing you say and what we've kind of experienced on our own, is it's got to be content that has value and is something ideally that could be shareable. Is that fair to say? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, so one thing, we just got a new customer this week that we're looking at their website, and they've got so many different pages that target the same keywords or similar keywords. So it'll just be variations of it. And that's what Google is trying to get rid of, that sort of garbage. It's like, so you might have 5 pages, white iPhone case, black iPhone case, brown iPhone case. It's like, come on, just make a nice page about iPhone cases and show all the different colors you got. And that makes way better content for the user, for Google, for everyone. And so, what we do is restructure their website to go, you need to shrink these 10 pages into one and, make good content, stuff that people want to read,
I love that, Chris. I think one of the things that I'm so impressed about your business is, especially when it comes to SEO. SEO has been one of the things that we've never quite been able to master or do, but there's always so many black hat type of things you hear people trying to do to game the system. And there have been so many different Google slaps over the years that I've seen people's businesses literally just fall apart because of it. And I think what I love about you and your business and your company is you guys are so white hat and just above board that, obviously it's why so many of the SEO companies actually go to you and hire you to actually do their SEO work, because you guys are so white hat.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
I appreciate the way that you guys have been able to do that. So any other suggestions you have before I'd love to talk about this 200-point audit in just a few minutes, but anything else you want to make sure the listeners understand?
That's really the main thing to focus on is, what do your people want? Don't make crap for the sake of crap. Write good articles. You should be an expert in whatever niche you are. So write content that is quality, but get it out there and share stuff. Like other people want content for their website. Other people want to know about your products, right? So if you sell a printer or something, someone that sells paper wants to know about printers. So, find who works in your niche and, help them out and provide great content, and they'll provide good links back to your website.
I love that. I think that's been I do obviously a ton from a business development standpoint as far as, joint ventures and working with other people. I think the thing I've learned over all these years is the importance of really providing massive value to people. And the more value you can provide to somebody, it just, man, gosh, I'm just amazed at how deep that well is. I've heard the analogy many times, dig your well before you're thirsty. And I think I see that with the stuff that you guys have been doing so much, as just getting so much content out there as really being a means of helping other people. Obviously, they're going to, as they share it or as they put on the page, it's a backlink to you. But the main thing is, if you're creating content that someone else can use and consume and can provide value to their users, I think that's just awesome.
I mean, it's just good business. If you try and cheat any part of the system and do it the quick and bad way, like, Google's not going to like you because you're not providing good value. If you actually do get a customer, they're not going to like you because you didn't provide good value. It's like if you finally get a customer and you give them way more value than they paid for, then they're going to throw more money at you. It makes perfect sense.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about this whole 200-point audit, what you guys do.
Yeah, so as a little thank you for having us on your podcast, we've got a little competition where people can win a 200-point audit. So Google looks at 200 different factors when determining where your website should rank. So that's things like offsite SEO, which are your backlinks, your outbound links, so where you're linking to, your internal linking structure, how your pages are set up. Of course, your metadata, your responsiveness, if your site's mobile friendly, your content quality, everything. So this is a huge audit that looks at every one of the 200 points. It comes up to about 80 pages of data. It's a hell of a lot of work. It's got a normal $2,000 price tag. And all you need to do is go to ardorseo.com/clickfunnels, put in your name and email, and you'll have a chance to win.
Great. You want to spell that for them so they understand exactly we'll put it down in the show notes too, but I want to make sure you get the correct spelling here.
Yeah, it's Ardor, ARDOR,
That's very, very cool. So you guys understand, as you're taking a look at working with SEO and trying to understand, SEO is something that if you're really trying to do it right, you really need to hire someone else to do it. At least that's been my experience. It's not... I've never been able to just do it myself. The amount of time and energy that it takes is just not worth it.
It's a full-time job, that's for sure.
It's crazy. And so one of the things we wanted to make sure is we were looking at, I've had a couple people ask me about, how's the whole SEO thing tie into funnels and why would we even be interested in doing SEO? And the main thing I want to make sure people understand is the idea behind SEO is your funnel itself. If you're just selling one product or you're just doing something through your funnel, that funnel itself it's never going to rank. But what's real important is you you're the brand, your company's the brand. People these days, think about it yourself. When you're going out there and you're taking a look at things, you're really trying to find out who am I investing my money in? I mean, you don't spend $10,000 or $3,000 on a coaching program without getting some idea as far as who you're actually joining or being a part of. And so I really encourage you guys, if you're looking at building a long-term business and you're trying to find some way of really getting into this and understanding the SEO for building a site and a brand and an image that's going to have a lot of impact for years to come, you need to look at someone. And again, Chris came highly recommended to me. I wanted to make sure we at least had him on. He could kind of talk to you a little bit about what you need to be paying attention to. If you don't mind, Chris, real quick, help people understand the different types of links and why they're important.
Different types of links. Well, I mean, so there's a link from social media, like a link from Facebook. That's not worth anything because, well, anyone on Facebook can make a link, right? It matters about your authority. So the more links to your website. So if the BBC writes something about you, you're going to really take their credibility and go, well, that's an authority. Where if some local newspaper says something, they don't have the same authority. So really, the more powerful, the bigger the brand, the bigger the name that speaks about you, then the more powerful that link.
So what's the difference between incoming links and backlinks?
So inbound links are backlinks, same thing. It's just what we were talking about before is outbound links. So the link, who you're linking to. So it's really important that you're in a good neighborhood. So if you're linking to rubbish websites or if you have 404s, so you might have written an article ages ago about best place to buy whatever. And now that website's not there anymore. And so it gets a 404. That's a signal to Google that you don't maintain your website. And so, they'll downgrade you a bit.
Awesome. Well, Chris, I've loved having you on. I really appreciate the content you've provided for our users. One more time, if you don't mind, just give them that link where they can register for that.
Yeah, sure. It's Ardor SEO, ARDOR.com/ClickFunnels.
Fantastic. Chris, thank you so much. Any parting words? If people want to get a hold of you, any way they can reach out to you?
Sure. You can email me at chris@Ardor SEO. It's Chris with a K, KRIS. Or get me at the coolest guy in SEO on Twitter.
It's one of my favorite ones, the coolest guy in SEO. Chris, thanks so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it, bud. We'll talk real soon.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Thanks for listening to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast. If you'd like to be notified anytime we release a new episode, just subscribe over at funnelhackerradio.com. In addition to that, we'd love to send you a free gift. You can find that free gift at funnelhackerradio.com/free trial. One last thing is we love giving away cars. So if you'd like access to a free dream car, all you have to do is go to funnelhackerradio.com/dream car and you'll get all the details. Thanks again for listening.